back into it again just because I want to catch up on some of these channels that I haven't been watching lately. Now, another RSS reader I'm using for a specific project is called TTRSS. As you can see, the interface is a little bit different here, but the concept is the same. I've got different categories here with multiple feeds inside of them. And one of the strengths of TTRSS is that it allows you to create enormous aggregated feeds. So for example, I can take all of the gadget feeds here and combine them into one super feed, and I can tell TTRSS how many items I want in that feed. So for example, in the project you're going to see in a few minutes, I take about 45 entries and then toss them over to a different application running on my server to process. And these RSS readers really speak to the richness of this open source self-hosted movement, because you will find at least a dozen, if not more, RSS reader options out there that you can self-host on your server and play around with. And each of them solves problems in different ways. And undoubtedly, one of those solutions is going to work for you. And in my case, I use 2 different solutions to solve my problem. Now, this next one has proven to be very useful to me. It looks rather boring, but this is called Actual. And what it is a personal finance application that's super simple. It works as a checkbook, as you can see. I've got only $525 million in my account. This is the demo version of it. But you also get some things like budgeting that you can put into place. It has some detailed reports that can keep track of your net worth across different accounts. And it's all just super simple. And what's nice about this is that I can run it on my computer. I can run it on my phone. I don't have to have an app installed somewhere. I don't have to pay somebody a subscription fee or have to deal with all these upsells and features that I don't need. I just need a simple checkbook, and this does it for me. This does not connect up to my bank. There is a way to get it to connect, but I don't need that. I do things manually when it comes to my checkbook. So for me, this has been very simple to work with in a way that I can get my checkbook up on any device that I happen to be using. It's called Actual. All right, next up, I've got a really simple note-taking application called Blinko that's got a lot of neat features packed under the surface. Now, I've tried a lot of different note-taking applications. I was using Obsidian for a while, which is just super complex and has all these different options, more than I needed. I just wanted something simple that I could use across all of the different devices that I find in front of me. So although I am primarily in the Apple universe with my Mac and my iPhone, I do have Windows computers that I use quite a bit. I do have Android devices that I use frequently. I've got Chromebooks that I'm popping onto, and I can't use Apple Notes on all those devices, but I can here on Blinko, and everything is always synced up and in the right place. So you can see it on my computer screen here. I've got it running on my phone here, and all of my stuff is in here, and it's super slick. It just feels like a commercial application, and I think it's a relatively new project too. So again, just keep simple notes here. Here's some notes from my Board of Education that I just want to keep in front of me when I need them. And the way Blinko is kind of set up is that if you've got some idea off the top of your head, you make a Blinko about it, and then it will save it in this Blinko category. And this is kind of like the inbox. And so what you want to do is review your Blinkos every once in a while, get rid of the ones you don't need, and convert the ones that you want to keep into notes, and then file them away with one of the nested tags that you set up here. And that is pretty much the gist of it. Now they do have a to-do section here, which I am not using, but you can set to-do items inside of here. You have some analytics for how you're getting through your day here as well. So there's some pretty cool stuff here that you can poke around with. And when you jump into the settings, they have a lot more. So for example, they have a whole AI section here where you can kind of treat this almost like its own little RAG-based AI agent where you can ask it questions about specific notes if you want. You've got webhooks, so you can programmatically put stuff into this. It's got an API as well. So there's a lot more under the hood. But for a starting point as a basic note-taking application, I have been really enjoying Blinko, and I'm slowly moving my notes out of Obsidian into...
I have this.
Now, I have saved the best for last. This is NAN, and what NAN is an automation platform. It is a commercial product, but it is open source, so you can run it on your own Docker server, which I am here. And what you're looking at is the weekly email that I send out to my email subscribers at lon.tv/email. Now, this used to take me an hour or two to get put together every week with the old system that I had. This one gets it done with just a mouse click. So I'm going to run it here real quick and just show you. So what it's doing right now is it's reading all of the RSS feeds from my blog and my YouTube account. It runs it through all of this stuff. It puts it all together with some formatting. it does have Gemini write a subject line, and then it will merge everything together and pop it out to my Sendy mail blaster, and it dumps it right in. And it also puts a version up on my little NAS as an FTP item that I can upload somewhere else if I want. And every Sunday now, I just hit that button and my email list is generated. I did this all myself. I was so proud of myself for putting this together. And what you do in N8N is you just string things together, and you can put code snippets in, and you get some automations that can improve your life dramatically. And it was great out of the box just getting this to work, but there's a lot more. Let me show you the email, and then I'll show you some of the other stuff I'm doing with it now. So here is the back end of my email blaster called Sendy, and when that automation fires off, it generates this entire email from what you just saw on the other screen there. And what it's doing is grabbing the RSS from my blog and all of the text on each of those articles for the last week. It's showing the older videos, stuff that I'm selling in my store, the link blog that I will talk about more in a minute, and then it is off to the races. And you can also see here the subject line that Gemini put together. I'm often changing the subject line, but sometimes Gemini gets it good enough that I don't have to do much to it. So it's nice just to have the whole thing set up. I can tweak it slightly if I need to, and we can send that email off. But this is the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you some other stuff I'm doing. Now this one is called the Content Agent, and every couple of hours this thing will fire off. What it does is it goes out to that TTRSS aggregated feed, and I've got two different ones set up. One for cord cutting, which is a popular topic of all of you, and the other one are new gadgets, which are also popular here on the channel. And what it will do is go through 35 or 40 different articles in this category and find stuff that it thinks that I might like to take a look at and perhaps make videos about. And what it also does is it keeps a database of what it's already seen and recommended, so things don't get recommended multiple times. So what it does here, it checks the database, it goes and filters the articles, and then what it does is it sends whatever's left over to these two AI agents. And the way these things work, I'll double click on one of them here, is it has a prompt that gives it all of its instructions about what it needs to do. And after that, it will fire off a completed version of what I'm asking for here. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And I have two different models assigned to it. So Gemini has a free model. If you only use it 250 times a day or less, you don't have to pay anything. And if Gemini is tied up, because sometimes the free one isn't prioritized, so it will fall over to an open AI chat model, which costs me a little bit of money, like a couple cents, when this fires off. And what it will do is build out an email template and then fire it off to my email. So what does this look like? Well, this is what I get. Now, I have to fix this because I had this thing initially only going off in the morning. But what I'll get here is a bunch of articles that it thinks might be worth taking a look at, things that I might have missed as I was going through my workday. And this has been really helpful because I have a bunch of RSS feeds, I've got a lot of content, and this helps sift through things that can surface items that are more important. And this is an algorithm, but it's my algorithm. And you'll also see here, too, that if there's discussion on a very popular topic, it will group the articles together.
How do I get all
Another
these
thing
berries?
that it will do is give me hot links here. So this one will add this as a task to my OmniFocus, which is my task manager, so I can set this up for a topic that I might want to cover on the channel. This button here is for my link blog. I use a free utility called Sharely to collect links, and those links, of course, end up in the email that you just saw, but it also ends up in another place. Let me show you that. Now, when I post a link, it goes into this data table called Queue. And inside of it here, you can see the post that I want to send out, which includes the title of the post and a link to go with it. And you can also see the source here. And what I do is every time I post something to the link blog, anytime I upload a video, anytime I use a special form that I put together to post out to social media platforms, all of those posts that I want to make go into this queue. And every 30 minutes, this crazy workflow will fire off. It'll read the top record of that queue that you just saw, and it posts that record to X, Twitter, to Blue Sky, to Threads, to Mastodon. It can go to LinkedIn, and if I have a YouTube post, that will go out to everything as well. And it's made my life so much easier because I'm not posting this stuff manually anymore. I was using services to post some of this stuff automatically, but I was spending $200 or $300 a year on everything. Now I've got myself my own service that runs in my server. It took about a day and a half going back and forth with Claude Code to get all of this working, but after that, it was working flawlessly, and it's been great now for the past, 3 or 4 weeks. I've been really impressed with how all of this came together, and it's going to save me a lot of money and a lot of aggravation. If there is a failure, it will email me to tell me what service failed, and I can go in and manually do that, but generally, it gets every post out, and every 30 minutes, so long as that queue is filled up, it keeps sending things out to the social media platforms. And of course, I check those platforms manually to interact with people, but the process of getting those posts out has now become a lot more efficient and a lot less expensive. And it's actually pretty remarkable now how well Claude Code works with N8N. N8N has a built-in MCP server that Claude connects to, and Claude can code this stuff right inside of my server. I don't have to copy and paste anything anymore. If I'm having trouble with something that I'm doing on my own, I can have Claude look at it and fix it for me. And what's been great about this is that I get ideas now and I can immediately put them into action. So for example, I monitor the FCC ATSC 3.0 docket, and for a while I had a very simple workflow that would check the RSS feed of that docket, and it would notify me when somebody posted something, and I would go in and look at it. Now I've got something better. Check this out. So my old workflow is still up here. So what happens is that the RSS feed detects a new docket item being added, and I get my push notification. But then it sends it through this new workflow, which will go into the FCC API. It finds the PDF document that was uploaded. It downloads that document. It sends it over to an AI for summarization. I think I'm using Gemini or OpenAI for this one. And then it will send me an email. And that email looks like this. So I've got the full docket summary here, and I can decide whether or not I need to drop everything and pull up the document to work on a new story for you, or something that I can set aside for later. So I've got the nice summary here, but I can also click on this and download the PDF directly from the FCC. And so every time I've got some idea about something I want to monitor or do something with, I can just boot up Claude here, and Claude figures it out for me. Again, I'm still doing some of this stuff myself, but having Claude in the mix is making life a lot easier. So for example, this was the prompt that I gave it. And I said, hey, take a look at my existing FCC dockets workflow. We need to do a little change to it to add some functionality. And then it goes through and works on all this stuff. And it then has a full set of plans for how it's going to implement it. I gave it the API key that I had to register for at the FCC. And within 10 or 15 minutes, this workflow was off and running. Now, there is so much more that I could show you here, but I think you get the idea as to how this works. And what's so cool is that these automations are firing off on a server that I have direct control over. I'm not getting billed by the task here like I was with my last service. N8N is running locally. These things are executing locally, and it's on a server that I own, just like all the other stuff you saw today. So this has been a really fun time for me, getting these new tools integrated into my workflow with N8N, those RSS readers, the Uptime Kuma, all that stuff. And I keep finding new things that interest me every day that I want to try out. Docker containers are still a bit cumbersome to work with sometimes, but once you get them working, they are incredibly stable. And as you can see, these applications are amazingly powerful. So that is what's going on with self-hosting here at my house at the moment. I know a lot of you are self-hosting stuff. I'd love to hear ideas for other applications that you're using and getting utility out of. Let me know down in the comment section. That will do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.
You said that like all in one breath.
Okay, so this is just going to be a quick little video talking about a film that's coming out soon, set in Montreal. It's called Mile and Kicks. And I think myself, being an anglophone who moved to Montreal, je parle français aussi, je peux avoir des conversations en français, mais clairement j'avais un accent anglo et c'est pas égal, c'est pas le même niveau que mon anglais, mais bien sûr je peux parler en français aussi. So there's my little disclaimer out of the way. This is my level. Sometimes I get nervous. Oh, I just like knocked something over. That's how I get when I try to speak French and I'm not prepared for it. You know, so I can speak French, and I do whenever I'm in a situation where it's needed. But I am still, and will always be, primarily an anglophone, and I speak French to integrate into Montreal, especially with like born and raised Quebecois who are much more comfortable speaking French. You know, I want to be able to have good interactions. So I think given my situation, this movie, which is about someone moving to Montreal, I believe the main character is from Toronto. The movie's not out yet. Maybe in the future someone finds this video and the movie's out and you can tell me what it's like. But all I've seen so far is the trailer and a little clip talking about languages in Montreal. That this clip actually got a lot of people very upset on the beautiful website known as Reddit. I'll show you the clip right now.
Why do French people hate me?
It's pretty complicated. Basically, French people are okay if you exist. You just can't work here if you don't speak French. Or, like, survive at all. And luckily, Montreal's cheap enough. You get a grant or enough money from your parents and stay. So it's like a waiting game. People who want to be artists move here from Edmonton, drop out of Concordia, move to the Mile End and do drugs at loft parties until they're forced to get a real job.
So this is the clip that was just shared with the Montreal community. And yeah, the comments are pretty rough. The top one is saying, what a fundamentally Anglo perception of Montreal's dynamics. Another one says, damn, crazy concept that your opportunities on the job market would be dramatically reduced if you don't speak the language of the majority of people in said job market. What do you mean I'm less valuable in Spain if I don't speak Spanish? A bank in China would rather hire someone who speaks Mandarin and English than me only speaking English. Crazy. Easier to not try to develop a skill and blame Quebec for being racist or whatever. Okay, I mean, it's amazing how like internet dialogues quickly jump to extremes and suddenly it's like, you are racist. Someone else says, as a Quebecois, every time I learn something new about this movie, I'm angry. And this isn't helping. They just say French, and they make no distinction between Quebec and France, which is a fair point. That one, I definitely think that's a fair point. But the way I perceive it is it's actually making fun of Anglophones who arrive in Montreal with no context. Like, the joke is, why do French people not like me? First of all, you have no idea why they don't like you, because you just arrived in Quebec and you have no context. And I assume the character doesn't know a lot about Quebecois history. Despite growing up in Canada, she doesn't know to say, why do Quebecois not like me? Why do French people not like me? It's not meant to imply that the correct term to use is French people. They speak the French language, but Quebec and Quebecois are a unique culture separate from France. So you shouldn't really say, look at all these French people. It would be like calling, people in Toronto English people. They're not, unless they're visiting from England, right? Though ironically, these days, a lot of people from France do move to Montreal, but that's a different topic. But the joke, as I perceive it, is it's pointing at the ignorance of newly arrived Anglophones. So I think it's actually not, I get why people who are quite sensitive to this issue would get angry at that joke. But I think they're missing that it's you're not the target. Anglophones are the target, So I am afraid that this movie will, get a big kind of a storm of hate comments just based on little moments like that. And then even if it's a cool movie, which, I saw the trailer, I thought it looked well filmed. It's set 10 years in the past. I think it's in 2015, and it's about this I think she's a music critic, and she meets musicians in Montreal and kind of explores the indie music scene. And as that clip was kind of mentioning, the guy's like, well, Montreal's cheap enough that you can just hang out here until you run out of money and then you move away. That's kind of the Anglo thing. And the funny thing is, in the comment section, I'm not going to read all the comments, but as I was saying, some of the French speaker community were getting upset about the portrayal of like Anglophones complaining about the French, you know, which is which exists, but obviously like people would prefer that that doesn't happen. But on the other side, Anglophones who see this clip, English speakers in Montreal, were getting upset at like they were saying what a silly, untrue generalization of the Anglophone population.
Let me get
And
the water
on that
running over
note,
here.
I actually have to disagree. Now, I'm not meaning to imply that there aren't any Anglophones who are much more aware than this character and who
Just put some rocks
don't
down.
have historical context. I hope that I'm one of the people who has historical context as well. But with that being said, this isn't a made-up character. Like, this person exists. I've met this person. I've met lots of people who moved to Montreal without knowing much and who just kind of like use it as kind of a, you know, these aren't my words. Someone said this to me once. A born and raised Montrealer was like, you know, a lot of people like use Montreal kind of as like a creative muse, you know, muse. I forgot how to say that word. Creative muse, you know, like an inspiration. So they can like live in some cheap apartment and paint or start their band, and then they get a little bit of success, and then like
Why couldn't I fill it
they
yesterday?
screw off to
I pushed the
Toronto,
wrong
or if
button,
they make it
didn't
really
I?
big, they move to Los Angeles or something. Or in the case of Grimes, marry Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. Fun fact: Grimes is an artist who grew up in British Columbia, then moved to Montreal. I believe. I think I got that right. I think she was born in BC, moved to Montreal, did that creative like lifestyle in places like the Mile End, where this video is, where this movie is being filmed, and then got their money and like never came back. Because, first of all, Montreal's pretty damn cold, and second of all, I mean, if like there's just,
I don't know what to do here.
as an artist friend of mine once said,
Why?
Montreal's a city where everyone loves art, but no one has money to buy art. Again, bit of a silly generalization, but
Let's go to
it is true that like,
Withered Wasteland.
you know, at a certain level, you're obviously gonna have more opportunities and more income
need some
opportunities in a
wheat.
place like Los Angeles. Now, there are like the Leonard Cohens of the world who still like firmly
can I
keep a
find
foot
wheat?
in Montreal and love their home and stay in the province of Quebec. It is a unique place. It does have a certain magic, and not everyone leaves, but some do. And you know, like I'm from Winnipeg, and like Neil Young grew up there, and like he never goes back. There's literally like the big music festival in Winnipeg is called Winnipeg Folk
It's
Fest,
still raining.
and this summer I think they're doing like a
Oh, you know
50-year celebration of like
think I
50
know.
years of Neil Young's music, and there's going to be a tribute band. Like Neil Young's not even going to be there for his own hometown's 50-year celebration of him. Unless he's a surprise guest and he'll like show up or something. But like, I don't think he's going to. I really think a lot of people leave their hometown and like never look back. They're like, I made it, thanks for the cheap rent, and now I am out of here. So yeah, that obviously happens sometimes in Montreal too. But yeah, in general, I feel like people are being pretty harsh in their responses to this clip. Keep in mind, this is Reddit, where people can be kind of annoyed about everything. Like, here's another comment. This is so corny. Stop treating Montreal like it's a prop. It's so unbecoming. Finally, even the analysis is off. There's tons of Anglophones working in primarily English jobs here. They're just not customer-facing ones. Well, you know, that's a tough situation. Like, I wouldn't say there's tons. That's a tough one. I think a lot of Anglophones working here, like, might work digital jobs, or they might work for, like, if you can't work customer service if you only speak English. You can't work for the government. You can't work for,
That's how you do it.
like, even construction jobs and stuff. I think would be really hard. That's like, seems to be like very like Quebecois, French industry, you know. So yeah, your options are obviously limited. There are ways to do it,
Wait,
but
they can do like one way and one the other way.
like the thing is, like people are so sensitive about this issue that
Hey, they do this.
like if the film Mile End, what's it called, Mile End Kicks?
Give me a
Mile End
stick.
Kicks. I keep thinking that's not. I feel like there's actually a shoe store in the Mile End called Mile End Kicks. Am I crazy? But anyway, if Mile End Kicks said what they said, oh, that you can't find a job here as an English speaker, people will get mad at them for saying that and saying that's not true. The Anglophones get mad at them for saying that. Stop making us look like we're all just here for a year then leaving because we can't find real jobs. That's not true. But they said the opposite and said, oh, don't worry, like the language stuff, like no one really cares. Like you can move here and find a job, no problem. Then all the Francophones would be upset and Anglophones would be like, no, that's not true. So it's like, you can't, unless what, you're gonna do like a complicated like meta-analysis of like the in-between and kind of like point out both truths, people would still get mad at you for that. Like people are gonna get mad at me for this video, no matter how careful I try to be with my words. Last time I made a video of this nature, just like talking about some of the difficulties of being an Anglophone in Montreal, even though I was trying to show respect to French-speaking communities and trying to show like I have no hate in my heart for this culture. I'm not trying to like change anything, actually. I'm just expressing like grievances. Like I'm just talking about my life, right? Even in that context. Should I mention this? Whatever, I'll just say it. Like I got an email from someone who I considered a friend, who had helped me on a video a long time ago, and you know, was a Quebecois who it was clear from his video was like, or sorry, it was clear from his email was like deeply offended by me, in my opinion, like just speaking up for Anglophone communities in Montreal, which I think like every community has the right to do, you know? It's not like Anglophones have just arrived here, like, we haven't all moved here to start an indie band from Toronto, like, you know? My uncle was here in the 60s as an Anglophone, like my great-grandpa actually moved from Romania to Montreal and lived in the Plateau like 100 years ago, and eventually moved to Ottawa. He didn't speak French. I'm sure people like would be like, well, that's bad, and you're bad, and he's bad, and your uncle's bad, and they're all bad. But like, at a certain point, it's like, yo, at what point are you? At what point do you change from outsiders to just like a part of the community? There's a historical Anglophone community in Montreal that has been recognized by the Quebec government, and actually has special language rights. Like there's certain interactions with the government where someone
guys,
newly
just follow
arrived
me.
to Quebec, like relatively new, like myself, doesn't have the right to service in English. You only have the right to service in French. Whereas someone whose family has historically been here, they have the right to claim English, like English rights.
Happening. Oh,
So that just shows you like
It's a
how
Pikachu.
complicated the situation is here.
War turtle.
And-
War turtle.
You know, for people who haven't heard this before, most people will know this, but it has to do with Quebec's unique situation of being, what is it, about like 9 or 10 million French speakers surrounded by like 900 million English speakers. And so there's a special sensitivity to their position and a desire to prioritize the French language in public to stop
Sligo.
Anglophone communities from swallowing it up and making it so suddenly
Okay, I lied.
the
I
French
don't know who
speakers feel
Sligo
like the
is.
odd ones out. It's like, hey, you know, you guys could have moved anywhere. You chose to move here because you liked it here, but now you took something away from us. You took away our culture, our shared language, our identity. So people are like, no. So even if like year on year, if the Anglophone population goes from like 19% to like 21%, that's seen as an emergency. It's seen as like, we need new laws. Everything's falling apart, you know. So I think sometimes the response can be a bit dramatic, but it
We
comes
need to
from
find
a
another
place
portal.
of
I
it
think.
comes from a place that I deeply respect. place that I understand, a place I have had many conversations about, a place that has a lot of historical
I really don't know how to play this
truths
game.
and historical points that aren't always known by the Anglophone communities in Canada. Going back to the joke about like, why are there French people? You know, like people literally don't know. And with a country that accepts a lot of immigrants from all around the world, don't worry, this isn't a like anti-immigrant rant or anything like that, but it is the truth that people arrive here and aren't often like you didn't take Canadian history in school. If you move from India or you move from China or something, and then suddenly you're living in Vancouver, like, yeah, you were taught that there's 2 national languages, but were you taught why? Were you taught that Quebec, like, never officially signed the Canadian Constitution and is legally defined as a nation within a nation? If you were taught that, maybe you just memorized it, like, as a fact, like, oh, periodic table of elements, you know, like, carbon, lithium, blah, 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 blah. But, like, did you take the time to understand it and to sympathize with that Quebecois, like, perspective? Probably not. Because most born and raised Canadians don't even do that outside of Quebec. So how can you expect someone who lived 50 years on the other side of the world and just arrived in Canada to fully internalize that? I would say there's a parallel with the Indigenous situation. I would say,
Did I lose one of them?
oh, that's a sad thing. I just remembered someone I know who was a permanent resident, like newly arrived in Canada. Basically, like, was talking about Indigenous people who were living rough on the streets, often homeless or in pretty rough situations. And this person was like just informed, like, just stay away. Like, if you meet Indigenous people, just like stay away. That was like their advice from some other friend who was here or something. And I was like, okay, like, first of all, we're trying to get some truth and reconciliation. We're trying to, like, our country's trying to right past wrongs and to create a more fair society for everyone and try to, like, actually help Indigenous communities to finally flourish after,
I need
like,
wheat.
decades and perhaps centuries of
I need
abuse.
power poles.
And we have people arriving who are just like, those people are not to be interacted with. Like, that's a problem. That's straight up a problem. And I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, education matters.
Power
But you gotta get
poles.
people to care. Like, if it's education and people just see it as like a boring fact to remember, it's another thing to care. So we need storytellers who are really telling the stories properly. And maybe Quebec needs, and Montreal needs storytellers to tell this situation properly so the world can understand it. I hope that the movie Mile and Kicks can do that. I have my skepticism. I think it will be hard. And based on that clip, maybe they won't do a good job. But I have no problems with the clip myself. I thought it was funny. I thought it was poking fun at Anglophones. I see why people are upset, but I just think it's like I know people who have moved here for a year, like, you know, gone to a bunch of parties and be like, well, I gotta leave because I'm not doing well socially because I don't speak French, or I don't know, any reason. Like, it could be anything. Like, moving to a big city is hard, right? A lot of people move to Toronto for like a year and it doesn't work out. Rent's too expensive, or, you know. Montreal is like, it's not an easy place. The winter's pretty intense too. So, you know, especially if you're living in the center and you don't have a car.
I did that
Like, a lot of
often,
people who grew up in like the suburbs of Calgary or something, yeah, it's cold, but like,
What
you're
about
used to having
you?
a car. And a lot of areas like Mile End,
Oh,
where young
you're
people,
a
you
sleago.
don't have a car, suddenly you only have a bicycle and there's like 2 feet of snow and you're like, how do I get my groceries? So Montreal is an intense place to live sometimes. And I think that's another reason some people like arrive for a year or two and then leave. It's not a stereotype. It happens all the time, and I know people it's happened to. So anyway, those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed this, let me know, and I'll maybe do a follow-up video when I watch the movie Mile End Kicks. Speaking of which, last thing I'll say, Mile End has already gentrified a lot in the last like 6 years since I arrived in Montreal, or 7 years. It's been 7 years. I'm not so new here anymore. That's all. I'm Moriel, Pamel, huh? But yeah, I think the gentrification process. If this movie's a hit, this will be the final nail in the coffin of the once very punk and alternative. Yeah, like Mile End was different. Now it's gonna become like, yeah, kind of like all the rich tech bros and stuff will move in, and it might lose a little bit of its spirit. It's already started to lose its spirit, but I was walking around there the other day. It's still a very cool area. But sometimes things are a victim of their own success. So we'll see if this movie can both show good things and allow good things to continue. Both talk about the language issue and not get everyone fighting in the comment section or the movie theater or whatever, you know.
I'm sorry,
It's
guys.
got a big task ahead of it, but we'll see what happens.
I'm coming back. Where'd Charizard go? He's disappeared. He did not disappear. I need to find another gate I can enter. Where would it be? If you were a gate, where would you go? I don't know. We'll get some answers. No, I didn't mean to talk to you. Where they walk, where they run, or where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. I wish I could be part of your world. This must be Habitats here, right? Habitats. Uh-oh. Almost made it. Not going to make it. I wish I knew how to swim. When's it my turn? isn't he down there? Wait a second. There's a secret down here. Mermaid hairstyle. No. Well, that's not bad. What was this, mushrooms? I must have been here before I opened that door already. Papa berries. I want to be where the people are. I want to see him dancing around on those feet. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they. Hey, I found one. It will open. I don't know how I got here. I must build a house here so I can find my way back. Otherwise, I don't think I'll find my way back. I need some water. I really like hot dogs. Hey, Luna Everly. Is it your first time here? It is your first time here. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? I'm not very good at this game, but I like it so far. It's very addicting. Monster's back. I need to get the relics appraised. I have not done that at all. I haven't wondering what to be doing with those. Luna Everly. I'm excited. I'm not. Let's just go see. I hope there's no more humans. I hope I'm the only human. Oh, Pokeball. Nice. other land. Slightly more rugged. Where to begin is right. Oh, a PC. Ooh! Lightning. There's a Pokeball here. Small stage. A sink. I haven't been reading those. Probably should be reading them. Is anything up here? But it's just honey. Anyway, I should do a better job following him. I see some people's things on TikTok and this is the one I get the train? I think they move the PC over there where it's crackling electricity, yeah. Yeah. He can help. Copper ore. Yeah, I suppose, but what is this? Cave mushrooms. Of course, every cave sends mushrooms. Gather. Oh, I got rocks. Limestone, I don't have any. Any glass, iron, ingot, no. Only have rocks, I suppose. How do I get another mossy spot? Craft a mossy spot? Nice storage box. Industrial bed. Not sure what that means. How do you get these are giant blocks. I've seen them in a TikTok before. I'm gonna try it myself. No, I got myself out somehow. I've seen it in TikTok before. I don't know how to. Full-size kitchen. An iron chair. That does anything. I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry. I just wanted to open the door. I'll make this my home. Can I? I'm going to put it here. Maybe I cannot. Cannot not? So you cannot. No, I cannot not. Not. Who's there? Who? 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 Industrial bed. That was weird. I was stuck underneath there. This is stuff I can break. Can I? Didn't mean to do that. Volcanic ash. Oh no, what if they all died because of a volcano? The story just took a sad turn. I don't like where this is going. There's another door. Smile. Nice. Oh, I need to rank up. if we heard that or not. May have heard it, or it just could have been real life. Love is exploring. There's a lot of ash everywhere. I think it could be because the volcano exploded. Wait, that's where I came from. Wait, what is that glowing thing? Wait, that is not where I came from. It's a Pokeball. Perch. This is the place at the break. Stone steps. Stalactites, stalagmites. Something down in there. Industrial chair. Gotta get that Pokeball over there. I need to get up here first. Tree. Because of fresh water. Oh, I know I should always go down here, because you always find something. Wait. Did I still in a circle? May have there. Glowing mushrooms. Iron table. How do I get on the other side? Just pick it up, huh? I'm tired. I should quit soon. lost. Nice. Tree shaded grass. This one. That's where I entered, right? And I'll switch to turn around. That's where it came from. Oh man, I'll never find this place again. Alright, we'll call it a day for now. Okay, hitting the wrong button. Alright, good night everybody. Thanks for watching.